Good afternoon, Lancaster. Welcome to Lancaster Connects. My name is Ben McClure. I'm one of your hosts here at Lancaster Connects. Lancaster Connects is a show that highlights great people representing great organizations or small businesses here in Lancaster County that do amazing things for our Lancaster County community. I've got a great guest. We're going to bring him on in a little bit. We've got Shawn Gladden today, who is representing the Landis Valley Village and Farm Museum. It's a place that's right down the road from my house, actually, which is cool. I pass it like literally every day. I pass Landis Valley. I've been there for a number of their events that we're going to talk about today. And it's just a really cool place of Pennsylvania German history. Of course, there's a lot of history in this area for the German community. And it's really cool preservation of life, from maybe 300 or so years ago, 200 to 300 years ago. Anyway, Shawn is going to be a great guest. We're going to bring him on in just a little bit. Again, Lancaster Connects is a show that's brought to you by Gardner's Mattress & More. That's the business that I co-own with my partner, Jeff Giannakovo, who can't be here with me today. So there's no banter. There you got solo Ben going on today. But again, it's our way of giving, one of our ways of giving back here at Gardner's Mattress & More. Of course, we donate mattresses to Off the Streets. We have a food drive that we have our customers involved with. We donate monthly to local food banks. But Lancaster Connects is a way that we can give back to the community by having these organizations like Landis Valley Museum. We recently had Water Street Mission on. Union Community Care was last week. If you want to see past episodes, lancasterconnects.com/episodes has all of our past episodes. But I think this is the 191st episode. So again, we have conversations with, great organizations and people doing wonderful things in the Lancaster community. And again, it's our way, one of our ways of giving back. You can watch this show live right here every Monday at 2:00 on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, both the Gardner's Mattress & More and Lancaster Connects channels, all of those channels. This also lives on YouTube forever, I think. So if you aren't able to watch live at 2:00, you can catch it on the flip side on YouTube or again on our website. And while you're on YouTube, I see the little subscribe button there on the screen. Subscribe to the podcast. We're up almost to 500 subscribers, which feels cool for a small little local podcast. So subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you're watching live, I'd love to hear from you during the show. We love comments. Hit the heart button, comment during the show. Maybe say hello. Maybe you have a question for our guest. Again, today, who's Shawn Gladden. Maybe you have a guest for him or a question about Landis Valley Museum, whatnot. We'd love to hear from you during the show. And if you are listening and you might be a good guest for the show, go to lancasterconnects.com. At the top of the page, you'll see, or type it into the search bar right there. See it on the screen, lancasterconnects.com/guest. There's a simple form on that page. Tell us who you are, your contact information, what organization you represent. Again, it could be a nonprofit, community benefit organization, charity organization, another small business like Gardner's Mattress & More that has an angle to give back to the community in some way, shape, or form. Tell us why you'd be a good fit for the show, and we'd love to have you on. As of right now, we are booked through about early to mid-June, so we are looking for guests for the summer. Looking to fill up that summer calendar there. So I think that gets everything out of the way. Just wrapped up Easter weekend here in Lancaster. It was beautiful weather. We're looking forward to some beautiful weather coming up here. I'm excited because it's baseball season. My son's playing baseball. And I'm coaching baseball, and we're out and in warm weather. We're playing games. I love spring. We'll talk to Shawn at the end about what maybe things he likes to do in spring. But for me, it's just getting outside, going to baseball games, being outside with the kids. Running around the baseball field. That to me just feels like spring here in Lancaster County. So anyway, enough about that. Let's bring on our guests. Like I said, we've got Shawn Gladden, who is the site administrator for Landis Valley Village and Farm Museum. Do I have the name right,
Shawn
Shawn?
Gladden, yep. It's the same
Yep,
issue.
awesome. And the Landis Valley, right? The Village and
That's
Farm
correct.
Museum, correct?
Yep. Landis Valley Village and Farm Museum.
Awesome. Yep. Well, thank you for being on the show. I'm excited because I like I said in the pre-show, I pass Landis Valley all the time. I see your signs, I see the parking lot filled up on the weekends. I know you do a ton of events, some of which we're going to talk about here today. But I don't know, even though I've been to some of the things there, I don't know a lot of the history behind Landis Valley Museum. I know there's cool old buildings that are preserved, and you do. You have people that work there or volunteer there in period uniforms and stuff like that. But what is the history of the Farm Museum? Like its significance? How did it start being preserved? And look, you can say it better than I can.
Well,
Go ahead.
we are very fortunate that this year we are celebrating our 100th anniversary as I guess you could say a collecting institution. We are a living history museum, and we're dedicated to preserving and interpreting Pennsylvania German rural life from 1740 to 1940. But effectively, we're a Pennsylvania farm museum. The collecting focus started with the brothers, Henry and George Landis, who began collecting items of Pennsylvania German lineage, I guess you can say, or a connection to Pennsylvania German past. They started collecting those items. Well, as I understand it, they were collectors very young in life, but became, I guess you could say, more professional collectors beginning in 1925 by creating the collection that today is the foundation of really what is one of the largest, not only one of the largest collections in Pennsylvania, one of the largest collections of Pennsylvania German artifacts in the country. So very, very fortunate to have the collection that we have. And it being there is kind of the academic and the museum side of what we do. But obviously what we do on top of that is the immersive experience of having the living historians and the guides. So really, if you think about it, when you come to Landis Valley Village and Farm Museum, there are a number of different experiences you can have. You can have the immersive, we like to kind of say that Williamsburg experience, right? When you walk and you back in time. Yeah. Or, if you're someone that just really likes artifacts and looking at objects from the past, we have a world-class museum and collections space as well. So lots and lots to see and do. But it all started with these two brothers the Landis brothers, who started off as avid collectors.
So did they themselves have German roots?
Yeah, yes, they did. Obviously, yes, they had German roots. And, it's kind of, I'm laughing because being that we are Landis Valley and being that George and Landis were the founders, and we have so many Landis family members who live in the area, like so many other names that we're very familiar with here in the community. Sure. However, the connection, everyone always thinks they're related to the Landis brothers in one way or another, when in actuality, the Landis family is so broadly spread out. But as I understand it, if you are a Landis, there's a good chance you can trace your lineage back to Hans Herr and the original Pennsylvania Germans. So.
Gotcha. And what did they set out to do by collecting these artifacts? Did they just figure they'll put them on display for people to view, or do you think they had the vision of what Landis Valley Farm Museum is now? Did they kind of have that vision back then 100 years ago?
Hard to say. We'd like to say yes. Does anyone envision what it will look like in 100 years? I think they definitely envisioned it as an experience that would be shared with the community. But most collectors start off collecting because it's a passion. But
Right.
eventually, you grow a collection that becomes so intriguing that people start to come to see it. So, I would
Yeah.
imagine at some point the Landis brothers realized that the collection that they were creating was going to be of high interest, and certainly has. As over
Yep.
100 years, we've served hundreds of thousands of visitors through the site.
That's awesome. So I know a big part of what's there on property are the buildings, the preserved buildings. So you have all the artifacts. Chris was scrolling through, the dresses and some of the period artifacts that have been collected, but the buildings are a big part of it. Can you talk a little bit about the preservation of the buildings? I mean, I have some of those been there since 17,
Well,
1800s?
many. So there are some buildings that are original to the site. There are some buildings and structures that have been moved to the site.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's kind of a mixture. But for the most part, um, as a museum within the Pennsylvania History and Museum Commission, it is our mission to preserve these structures as a part of the visitor experience. Now, having said that, obviously there are some of our buildings that are very functional and are a part of the experience, like our tavern, for example, where we try to simulate the
Mm,
open hearth cooking experience. The textile barn, where we do demonstrations of spinning and weaving and show fiber uh, to cloth demonstrations. We have the very popular
mm.
gun shop, which kind of shows um, demonstrates the legacy and the history of gun making here in Pennsylvania, and certainly going back to this era that we collect in, the late 1700s, early 1800s.
Yeah.
And then we also have the brothers' house is on property, and Isaac Landis' house, another one of the family houses, is on site. We have a early 19th century brick homestead that's kind of, whereas it isn't necessarily connected to the Landis brothers per se. It is indication of the type of homes and dwellings that people lived in at that
Oh,
time. And then, of course, there are the animals. At one
yeah.
point, we all in the museum field like to say, there's before COVID, right? Before COVID, Landis Valley had a pretty impressive, I would say, collection of animals that were part of the experience. As a result of, all the complexities that came out of COVID,
Mhm.
there we go, freshly shorn.
There
There it
you
comes
go.
right there. So yeah, so now, we have sheep, we have 4 horses. We did have two, and just recently we were gifted 2 new Belgian mares that are part of the experience.
Oh,
We've got
wow.
some chickens. We've got 2 ornery geese that are now running around. um, yeah, I had a little stare down with one of them as I was on my way to my office the other day. He was on the path, and I was on the path, and he hissed at me, and I'll just walk around. But
Yeah, you don't wanna get involved there. You don't want that smoke.
yeah, but I mean, and one of the things we hear, we talk to visitors all the time about, what is it that they want as part of this experience, and a lot of visitors want, that animal experience, which we are
Yep,
bringing animals back. But part of that is, we have to shore up some infrastructure. We have to bring back some personnel that can care for the animals. So you don't just want to bring animals back without being prepared to care for the animals that you're bringing back.
yep.
All this is kind of part of a process that I guess you could say that us here at Landis Valley see our 100th anniversary as kind of a reboot for the
Oh,
institution, as we are updating, becoming more efficient, looking at the things that we do, and ultimately what we're trying to do is provide the best visitor experience, and to remind Lancaster that they've got this great treasure in their community that should be celebrated. We've been here for 100 years. We're going to be here for 100 more, I'm sure. And we're a great treasure and a great connection to our community's past.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I have a question, just kind of popped in as you were talking. So the people that are there, are they volunteers? The people that are you had a term for them, and I now I can't think
Docents,
of what you call them.
docents,
What's that?
docents or
Uh,
interpreters. We have a
Interpreters,
yeah,
maybe that was
interpreters.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We have a
historical
Yeah, I mean,
interpreters.
we
Yeah.
have a mixture of staff on site. And one thing I
Okay.
think people don't seem to understand about our museum, we are a PHMC museum, Pennsylvania
Mm,
Museum and History Commission. I actually technically work for the state. So as a site administrator, I am the state's representative overseeing the property
gotcha.
itself. Now, there's also a nonprofit that operates on site that is responsible for the experience. So the interpreters, farm
Okay.
experience, the people who are dressed and working in the buildings, or even the folks that are working in the farm side of the program are all paid by the nonprofit.
Gotcha.
So so to some extent, you're looking at kind of a public private partnership, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
so there is
Makes
a
sense.
mixture of we have state employees that work on site. We have full-time employees who work for the nonprofit. We have part-time interpreters who are paid by the nonprofit who will work in the buildings, and
Okay.
they'll dress
Yep.
in the period appropriate costumes. And then we have contractors, the folks that are doing the demonstrations, like the blacksmith or the gunsmith
Okay.
or the tinsmith. They're contractors who come in to do specific demonstrations. And then on top of that, we have volunteers.
Cool.
And
Yep.
volunteers who work in the seed house, the farm program side of things. One of the more unique aspects of our operation is the heirloom seed project, which started off as simply a part of the mission to collect these heirloom seeds from um, Pennsylvania's past, the Pennsylvania German past.
Right.
But because now that we do certainly collect these seeds, but now because these seeds are so popular, it's also something somewhat of a revenue generator for us as we sell these seeds
Hmm.
in the museum store. We sell them online, and volunteers are a
Oh wow.
big part of that operation as well.
That's cool. That's cool. So, one of the things I know we want to talk about here are, and we'll definitely talk about your 100th, celebration you got going on here. But throughout the year, annually, you host a number of
Mhm.
events. The Urban Garden
Oh yeah.
Fair, I know, is one that you've. Yeah, I think I saw a sign for advertisement for it recently here. Harvest
Mhm.
Days, obviously something in the fall. Civil War Days, and more recently, you've introduced the Juneteenth celebration. So maybe you can just talk a little bit about each of them. So the upcoming Urban Garden Fair. Urban Gardens, right? What's that all
Yeah.
about?
So, I mean, I would say that these events that we do, we call them signature events because many of them we've been doing they're just signature events for the organization. We've been doing them for decades. The Urban Garden Fair is a plant sale, a very, very popular and successful plant sale. Um, we will have over 50 different vendors. We'll have food trucks. So
Wow. Okay.
it's a plant sale and kind of a festival all in one. So, we're open to the public. We'll have lots of things to do. Lots of people will be there, you know, buying new plants, buying seeds, things of that nature. So, very, very popular. Folks come from all over. See,
Yeah.
yeah, very
So
excited.
so do you have vendors spread out throughout the
Yep,
property?
and it's
Okay.
to some extent.
Cool.
So, Urban Garden Fair in the spring, and then Harvest Days in the fall are kind of two ends of a. And we really want to say it's kind of like bookends or our busiest times of the year. And
Gotcha. Gotcha.
and they're kind of similar in the setup that there's demonstrators there, there's food trucks, and these different festivals.
Yeah.
But Harvest Days is more of I would say it's a little bit more geared towards families. We do we have demonstrators, we have various demonstration vendors as well as vendors who are selling things. Now, this year for Harvest Days, I'm kind of jumping over Harvest Days real quick.
Sure, please.
Harvest Days by far is one of I would say is our most popular event. 2-day event. We've been doing it for years. I believe we're going into our 3rd decade of doing Harvest Days. Possibly
wow.
4th decade. I apologize. But what we have found is that Harvest Days is a spectacular event, but what we wanted to do was add something fresh this year. So for this year's Harvest Days on day 1, we're going to be actually adding a band, a local bluegrass band called Hammer Creek will be headlining day 1.
Oh,
yeah.
That's cool. I know a banjo player.
Yeah, they're going to be
from them.
Yeah, they're going to be
awesome.
here. So we thought, that's a great opportunity because Hammer Creek. Most folks,
cool.
Harvest Days is a great event that starts to kind of tail off around 4:00. We thought maybe if we had a band at the end of the day, we might be able to keep a few folks, maybe even add a few more folks.
Yeah.
And then on the Sunday, we're going to have the ABC Car Club is going to bring in some historic cars, which is something I understand we used to do and we're bringing back. So call it value-added options to Harvest Days. But so you got Urban Garden Fair and Harvest Days, which are 2 events that everyone is very familiar with. Most of our followers and most of the community are familiar with. In between those, Civil War Days and then Juneteenth are two new things. The Juneteenth event is very interesting. It kind of came upon. So I started in this position in August of last year, and there had already been discussions about moving the Juneteenth event, which for years had been over at Thaddeus Stevens. I think it had been at Thaddeus Stevens since about 1997. But the event actually originates as an African American festival called the Strawberry Festival that dates back to 1905. So we've been working with the organizers to bring it because they want to expand it. And it's always kind of been over at Thaddeus Stevens, but it had been indoors. So moving it over and using Landis Valley as the host location is going to give them a lot more flexibility to bring in some more demonstrators, to bring in more vendors. And we're very excited that this traditional community there is going to be at Landis Valley this year. And because it's got the historical, and you can see there, the historical reenactments, performances. I mean, it fits right with what we already do. And it gives us an opportunity to bring in new audiences. So we're very excited about June.
So this June is the first year that that's being hosted at Landis Valley
that'll be
Farm Museum.
Thursday, awesome. June 19th. And because we were able to secure a couple of sponsorships from Discover Lancaster and Members First, we were able to actually discount the tickets. So it'll be a Thursday, June 19th, and it will be half price admission that day.
That's awesome. So actually, that was a question. The first 2 events that you talked about, the Urban Garden Fair and the Harvest Days, what are the details there? I mean, maybe not dates at this point, but like to attend, what, how do you get tickets? What does it cost? What does the experience look like? What can, if like a family comes, do they spend a couple hours, all day? What does that look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, the museum itself it's a $12 ticket, $8 if you are a senior or AAA, and I believe it's $6 for children. So pretty affordable experience. I would say it is an all-day experience. There's certainly plenty to see, plenty to experience. Typically, when you come in, there's a couple of different ways to experience the park. You can either come in and do kind of a self-guided tour. There's enough for you to walk around and see on your own. But then we do give guided tours also throughout the day. And if you come on a specific day, one thing that's kind of neat about Landis Valley is that, we'll have different experiences there on a different day. We always say if you are going to come and you're very interested in seeing something specific, like, say, the gun shop, check on our website to make sure that we have interpreters in the gun shop that day. We do kind of
Gotcha.
rotate our staff around. So sometimes the gun shop may not be open. Sometimes the blacksmith might not be there. But on any given day, we'll have a variety of different experiences, self-guided demonstrations, and led by tour guides. Now, you asked me kind of a big question. I'm breaking up.
Yeah, I did. I did.
So you had asked about the cost and the experience itself. Well, I'll say that, with regards to the everyday experience, obviously there's a lot of things that can be done. But if you're coming for one of our events,
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Harvest Days is just an explosion of activity. Right? There's
Yep.
so much to do. We have everything from apple butter making to applesauce making to gentlemen doing whirligig demonstrations to what we already do. So it's like
Yeah.
the festival or the fair experience is just taking what we already do and adding so much more to it, and it's all the
Yep.
same price. So
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so it's not an additional cost to do a harvest days versus just visiting. The same cost.
however, there's something else. So
That's
the
awesome.
LVA side, the nonprofit side, one of the ways that they operate obviously is to sell memberships, and what we have is something that
Hmm.
is very interesting for folks who want to spend, let's say, a summer experiencing all the things that we do. They sell what's called basically season pass memberships, and starting like I think $50, and it can go up depending. And they've got different membership levels based on your
Okay.
family size. So effectively, you could get a pass and you could come as many times to the park or the
Oh,
events for one
that's
kind of
cool.
season pass price. So yeah, so if you're looking Landis Valley and you're like, we're going to spend a lot of time there this year, then probably becoming a season pass member makes sense.
That's cool. And I'm sure there's information on the website, landisvalleymuseum.org, on memberships and of course all of these events. The Civil War days, I think, is interesting. Um, is there, I mean, obviously within a 100-mile radius, there's some pretty significant Civil War important, battlefields and whatnot within a 100-mile radius. But like, what's the significance in maybe the Lancaster community, and why do you host something here at Landis Valley Museum?
Another signature event, and yes, being someone who's been in the museum field for about 20 some years, Civil War still draws the most visitor for,
Yep.
I used to have a boss of mine in the museum field says, if you want people to come to your exhibit, write Civil War in a box and put it on exhibit. Somebody will come and see it. Um, Civil War and railroads are very, very popular
Yeah.
still in the museum field. Definitely are things that people will travel
Interesting.
to go and see. Now, I think Civil War Days is once again an extension of what Landis Valley does very well, which is the immersive step back into time experience. And every year, July 19th and 20th, uh, this year, July 19th and 20th, we will have various companies and reenactors and regiments will be there on site. Um, you know, uh, Setting up camps, doing drills, giving visitors who ordinarily would be coming for the Landis Valley experience. Well, for those 2 days, you get the Landis Valley experience from the Civil War era. Now we are working.
That's really
We
cool.
are you just pulled up. We are working on adding this year an 1800s baseball demonstration using the 18th
I love that.
war rules. Um, Unfortunately, the only problem with that is that is the same weekend as Gettysburg's National 1800s baseball tournament. So we all have a little bit of a problem finding teams, but I think we'll be able to find it. And then we all bring on noted Civil War, local Pennsylvania Civil War historian Scott Mingus, who'll be giving a
Yep.
lecture on the Lincoln funeral train. And I think we even have actually a
Oh,
piece of banister from when Lincoln stopped here in Lancaster that he put his hands on that we'll probably pull out for that.
yep.
So yeah, definitely once again another great immersive Civil War themed experience at Landis Valley.
That's cool. These events, obviously, they're outdoor. A good chunk of them. Are they rain or shine
They are
events?
rain or shine, unfortunately, which makes
Yep.
rain challenging. However, we've still had a relatively good showing when it rains. Obviously, some of these events are,
Yeah.
you know, do put a damper on things, but we have enough covered areas that you can still have
Yep.
a good experience if it's raining.
That's
So,
cool. So we're crossing our
yeah,
fingers.
yeah, always, always.
So obviously you've preserved and you're displaying centuries old artifacts and the historical actors and all of that. Um, how are you enhancing the visitor experience with maybe new ways, technology and stuff like that? New ways of getting the information out to the patrons that attend there.
Well, as I said, we're kind of in the middle of a reboot right now, and I'm saying that
Yeah,
the advancements or improvements that we want to do are in the works. We are currently
that's
waiting
cool.
for a pretty significant infrastructure project to kick off. We're hoping it's going to start this year. That infrastructure project is going to address some accessibilities and some issues that we may have with visitors who may have difficult with mobility. We're going to be
Yeah,
adding
yeah.
some lighting so that'll open up the opportunity for us to do more night programming. And then we're adding what we really need is another set of public bathrooms. So that infrastructure is kind of
Oh
the
yeah,
first step of us moving forward to being more, let's say, accessible. And then we're very excited that we are also planning a brand new visitor center, which we think will be sometime
cool.
in the next hopefully 5 years. And that new visitor center will give us the opportunity to add, some multimedia components. Obviously,
Yep,
you want to, although we're an immersive historical experience, you still got to meet visitors where they are. And we all know
yep.
everyone carries a little mini computer in their pocket these days.
That's right. That's right.
And I think also with the new visitor center, it gives us an opportunity to do some more exhibit space, do rotating exhibits and
Yep.
permanent exhibit galleries, and really just enhance what we can offer for the visitor.
That's really cool. I mean, that sounds exciting. You probably have a lot of schools and organizations and companies maybe visiting the museum. Can you talk about maybe the collaborations you have within the Lancaster
Sure,
community for organizations that come
sure.
visit?
So I would say probably about a third of our visitation does come from school groups. We are very active with obviously school groups in Lancaster County, but also um, I would say we are one of the go-to experiences for many homeschool groups as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Now, with regards to what we were doing in the community, one of the things when I was brought on board, and part of the strategy that we've been working on with the nonprofit side is to do a better job of outreach. Get this idea that Landis Valley has always been here. We've been here for 100 years, and everybody knows we're here. It's you know you have got to remind the community that you're here, and
Hmm.
remind them that you're
Hmm.
still relevant. And
Yep.
part of our strategy to do that is to do a better job of partnering with organizations within the community. We're very excited that we're going to be working with the friendship community who is designing this wonderful
Oh,
mural for us that we are going to install outside of our museum store. It's a part of our 100th anniversary, but that is one group that we're partnering with. We just recently
yep.
uh, partnered with Discover Lancaster is working with us on a few things.
Yep.
They're supporting some of our events. We're also working with some sponsors in the community like Members First. I'm very excited about a partnership we just sealed the deal on with the Lancaster Stormers. Um,
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
so we are going to participate in Farm Days. We're going to have a booth at Farm Days. Which is one of the Stormers' big events. And then the night
Yep.
before Civil War Days, we're going to send actually our regiment over of historic reenactors who are going to be the color guard that night, the Friday night, the
That's cool.
18th, right? Um, And we've got some other things. Oh, and also we just worked out a deal where members of the Landis Valley Associate community, if you have one of those season pass memberships, you also get
Mhm.
a discount link for Stormers tickets. So
Okay.
these are some of the things, that we're doing. Like
That's cool.
we're partnering with Oregon Dairy on some things. So,
Yep.
the idea that when you have a museum and you just kind of sit there and wait for people to come, the reality is you've got to do outreach to remind people that you're there, let people know that you're relevant,
Yep.
and why you're relevant for the community, and then the people will come. That's kind of our strategy.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, it sounds like you're making the right partnerships there. I love that you brought up the Stormers. I've had Mike Reynolds and other people from the Stormers organization on over the years. It's just amazing what they do with their ballpark. Of course, the baseball, the product, the baseball product is awesome, but how they use the stadium, how they partner with other organizations, how they give back to the community, like the partnership that they have now with you there at Landis Valley Village and Farm Museum. I think it's really really
Yeah.
cool.
I can certainly say
Go ahead.
my dealings with the Stormers, they're very professional, very excited to work in the community, and the team that I spoke with was spectacular. So great.
Yep. Yep. So, you mentioned for the Civil War days the 1800s baseball. Is that new for this year? Or is that something you've done
It's
before?
new. Well, it's new for us. So previously, before I came
Yeah.
to Lancaster, I was working in Carlisle. I was executive director of the Cumberland County Historical Society, and they had been doing
Okay.
some 1800s baseball related things as kind of a part of summer activities that we were doing. And we did a couple. We did one at the we partnered with AHEC and did it over at the War College, and then so
Mm.
we did the 1800s baseball thing a couple of times. I mean, it's a great interactive, because if you think about it, the guys go out there and play the game, and
Hmm.
1800s baseball is no gloves. Catch a
Right.
ball on a bounce. The bats are basically big chunks of lumber. Um, it's very easy to go out there and play a game, and the kids love it. And then in between games, you let the kids hit the ball, run around. You let a couple of dads get out there and take some hacks. And
Yep.
moms, anyone to take some swings. But
Yeah. Right.
but
Right.
no, it's a great experience. We feel it would be a great addition to this year's Civil War days. The only thing I got to figure out is where we're going to set the field up.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I mean, I would love that. Like I mentioned at the top of the hour before you were on, baseball season. I'm coaching baseball. My son, he's 10. He plays baseball. So I don't know that he's ever seen anything related to 1800s baseball. So that would be a cool experience for him and me as
Yes.
well. So, um, what are some of the long term goals that you have for? I mean, you talked a little bit about the improvements, the infrastructure that you're making, but what are some of the long term goals that Landis Valley Farm Village and Farm Museum has?
As someone who is a career museum professional, and I've had the opportunity to look at various organizations from kind of that bird's eye view, and you look at what they've done right, what opportunities they've missed, and we're really poised right now with Landis Valley to kind of position ourselves for the future. As I said, the infrastructure upgrades, the visitor center upgrades, but then on top of that, we've got some staffing changes that are coming. I've had recent retirements, and so I have an opportunity to
Hmm.
bring in some um, fresh new folks who can come in with some new energy and some new
Yep.
ideas. And anything you want to do in the museum field, you got to start with people. You got to have the people with the energy and the
Hmm.
vision. And we certainly have that at Landis. I mean, I've got a spectacular staff of people who have been here. They know this place very well. They know um, what works. Our challenges now is, okay, so what can we do to expand to newer audiences and grow that number of people that come to visit us every year?
Mm.
And the big
Hmm.
thing is in the museum field. It really, I mean, if you look at the museum field and you look at Landis Valley as an attraction, we got to give people a reason to come back multiple times. If
Yeah.
you are creating an experience that people only have to come to once. That's a bad business. What you want to do is create what us in the museum field call like lifelong connections. You come to a museum as a child. You then, your parents put you in the summer camp. And then in your teenage years, maybe you volunteer at the museum. Then you get married at the museum. You become a member. These are the things. There are plenty of people who find an identity within a museum, within themselves, and attach themselves to that museum. And there are plenty of museums that have that kind of loyalty and dedication.
Yeah.
And those are the museums that really do thrive. So what we're looking for is to build those new experiences for the new audiences. We have 10 to 12,000 school kids that come through that place a year. Those are all future historians, and they could be blacksmiths, and they could be farmers on the site. There's a lot of opportunity for us to grow. And as long as we remain relevant in the community, which we feel that we are, then those opportunities for us will continue to grow. And our challenge and our job is to find those opportunities, jump on them, and use them as an opportunity to bring in new audiences and do new experiences. Keep it fresh.
That's awesome. So you mentioned volunteers. Is there information on the website about how to volunteer and what volunteer opportunities exist there? Like, could a teenager volunteer their time there?
Yes. You must be at least 16 years old. But
okay. Yep.
And volunteering in any museum or historical organization is the life's blood of the organization. We are always looking for volunteers. And the beautiful thing about a place like Landis is there's so many different ways to volunteer. Let's say you don't like talking to people, but you love history. Well, maybe you can volunteer in our archives or in our collections. Perhaps, you really like dressing up and you really like talking to people. We certainly have a role for you there. So, or maybe you just like working with farm animals. There's a lot of opportunities.
Interesting. One question that we like to ask our community benefit organizations, nonprofits, charitable organizations that come on is, how else the community can help. Volunteering obviously is one, and look at that. There's a whole slew of opportunities there at landisvalleymuseum.org. Financial donation, of course, visiting and paying to visit. That's helpful. What are ways that the Lancaster community can help Landis Valley Museum?
Well, I'll also say we are actively looking for business partners within the community. We've begun some of those partnerships with organizations like Leon Landis Plumbing has come on board as a sponsor. They're celebrating their 75th year in business. As I said, Members First, Discover Lancaster. And we feel there's a value if you're a sponsor for us. If you're a sponsor for Harvest Days, we get 4,000 people that are going to come through Harvest Days in a weekend. You're going to get 4,000 orders. We've got 10,000 plus people that follow us on Facebook. We have over 300 members that we communicate with regularly. So, as a partner with us, we can promote you very well. One of the things that we are doing, if you are able to find our preferred lodging partners, that is on our webpage, we are working with bed and breakfast because we realize we're a destination.
Oh, yeah.
And people are going to come from out of town and they're going to come see us. And what we want to do is encourage those folks who are coming from out of town to stay at one of these beautiful historic bed and breakfasts. And like EJ Bowman is a great sponsor for us. So if you're in the business community and you're looking to get your name out there, or if you're looking to sponsor an iconic institution that has been here for 100 years, give us a call. Every sponsorship or donation will help get us to where we need to be.
That's awesome. And so I know we probably had it on the screen. You just said, give us a call, phone number. Maybe you could say it out loud there. Oh, there it is there on the screen, 717-569-0401. Of course, we've got landisvalleymuseum.org. Any other ways to contact Landis Valley Museum?
We are pretty active on social media. We've got a spectacular social media person who's very, very active across our platforms. But certainly, if you're on the old Facebook and want to DM us, we'll reply there as well.
That's great. That's great. Shawn, this has been great. Is there anything that we've missed? Anything that you'd like to
I
talk
don't know. I
about?
thought you were going
Bring
to
up?
ask me about my personal, what I like to do in Lancaster when I'm not working. I was totally ready for that.
That's next. That's next. I just want to make sure we cover all the bases
Yeah, no,
with Landis Valley Village and Farm
I
Museum.
could talk about us for hours. I just saw
Yeah.
wedding pictures.
Yep.
We're a spectacular wedding venue, especially if you want that authentic Pennsylvania barn experience. So I didn't even talk about weddings and
Yeah,
rentals.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There
I
you go.
mentioned to somebody earlier today that Landis Valley was going to be on, and they're like, "Oh, I went to a
Yeah,
wedding there," and I just think that was something that you did there. That's
yeah.
cool.
There's a couple other things we're looking to do. Like we realize we got an opportunity to do, maybe some historic beer tastings and whiskey tastings that we think we can do on the
Oh
site that
yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
tie into the mission. So yeah, we're trying
Yep.
some different stuff.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a fun chat. Um, Learning all about Lancaster Valley Village and Farm Museum, celebrating 100 years. I mean, congrats to everybody that is part of the organization, that has been part of the organization for the last 100 years. I think it's really, really cool that this history is preserved right here in our local community. So kudos to the work that you and your team does there. So yes, if you've got like another 5 minutes,
Sure.
we'll get to
Well, I am also
we'll get to learn.
I'm also a big baseball fanatic. I'm a former ball player, and
Oh,
I coached as well. I coach my son in travel and all that
yep,
good stuff. And so I even
yep. It's
I kicked around in some 45 and over teams myself. But
oh,
and actually,
all right. There you
I
go.
live over by the stadium, so on game days I'll actually be helping with
Okay.
parking. So I am a baseball.
Oh, nice, nice. We'll be there for opening night. The Stormers do a cool thing for the local kids. Be on the field for the introductions, and the players get to walk by, and the teams get announced. So we'll be there for that. So I'll keep my eyes open for you.
And I'm also trying this new thing
So
everybody's calling pickleball.
oh yeah,
I'm not good yet, but I sure am
Hey,
enjoying myself.
you just take care of your body in pickleball. I hear like the number one injury for people that are maybe of our age
Yeah,
bracket and older. Number one source of injury is pickleball. So just take care of the
good,
knees and the ankles and
good
the
enough.
hips and
Good. They're already in bad
all
shape,
right.
so
That's
I think
right.
it's
That's right.
going.
So well, yeah, I'm right there with you. So favorite thing about spring? What do you like to do in spring
Oh,
here?
just it's renewal, opening. Opening day, opening season.
Yep.
We had an 80-degree.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just the newness of spring, and yeah, everything. The crack of the baseball bat, all of it. The flowers,
Beautiful.
smells, pollen. Guess that comes with it.
nobody nobody likes the pollen. Uh, so if you're not working there at Landis Valley Farm Museum, what do you like to do to unwind?
Um, I do. I like to stay active. I love the golf.
Yep.
I do live across the street from the Stormers, so I like to go up on my rooftop and watch the games.
Oh, there you go.
I'm
That's
an
cool.
empty nester, so my kids are both in college. So I guess I don't know. I'm still
Yep.
trying to figure out what to do with myself.
There you
Play a
go.
lot of golf.
There you go. Well, hey, catching a baseball game is always a
Baseball
good
and
time.
golf, I'm pretty boring like that.
There you go. Hey, nothing wrong with that. And so living in downtown Lancaster, do you have a favorite Lancaster restaurant?
I like Harvest. I really like Harvest.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good
Yeah,
choice.
not necessarily
Yeah, good
downtown,
choice.
but yeah,
Yeah, no, it's
really
right,
like
right around the
Harvest.
corner. Yeah.
I usually take folks there.
Hey, can't.
Although I also really like Stubby's, which is kind of close to the museum. Has a
Yeah.
good show
Yep.
there too. So,
Yep.
yeah, those are
Yep.
kind of my two spots.
There you go. Very good. Well, Shawn, thank you so much for being on
Thank
Lancaster
you. Hope
Connects.
to see.
This was great wrapping about
Yeah.
Landis Valley Farm Museum. I wish you a lot of luck and good weather
Yes.
for your upcoming events here this summer. Just to kind of recap it again, we've got the Urban Garden Fair, which is just a couple weeks away, a few weeks away.
Mm-hmm. I think it's
Okay.
on
Yep. So right around the corner here. Yep, we've got Juneteenth celebration. That's June
19th on a
19th,
Thursday.
Thursday, June 19th. You've got Civil War days and harvest days throughout the summer and fall here. And again, landisvalleymuseum.org for all the events and all of the information related to visiting and attending and volunteering and donating. All of that information is there on the website. Again, Shawn, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, good luck this season and have a great rest of the afternoon.
Thank you so much. Really was a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. See you. All right. So that was fun. If you've never been to Landis Valley Museum, it's a really cool experience. The kids find it fun. Shawn mentioned that the school groups go there. 12,000, I think, students go there throughout the year. I know my two kids have been there numerous times. Of course, we're in the township school district, and Landis Valley Museum is in township. And I feel like they're there every year. But they look forward to going there. It's a cool place. I've had fun in my experiences there. I want to check out. I want to look at my schedule. I might be out of town in July 19th and 20th. But the 1800s baseball demonstration, that would be really, really cool. Of course, the Civil War demonstrations and encampments and stuff that they do would be neat to see as well. But the 1800s baseball is really cool. So I'm going to try to check that out when that's there. All right. So again, thank you for watching Lancaster Connects. Lancaster Connects is brought to you by Gardner's Mattress and More. We have books that we wrote that help you sleep better every night. This is a book that we will mail you for free. Go to our website, gardnersmattressandmore.com/sleep-better, or just hit the homepage, scroll down, you'll see the book there. You can request a book, a free copy of the book. We'll mail it to you. Some great, helpful sleep tips and information on ways that you can wake up happy without even investing in a new mattress, which is, of course, what we do here at Gardner's. But there's ways that you can get a better night's sleep just through reading some information. Of course, Gardner's, we help with Lancaster wake up happy every morning through the investment of a new mattress. We have mattresses of all kinds here. One of the things that sets us apart is if we help you find a mattress and you don't think you made the right choice, we will help you make it right with our 120-night comfort guarantee. So kind of a no questions asked sort of. We want to make sure you're happy with your investment. So 120-night comfort guarantee. And I did want to read, we've got some customers that have that share their experience with others via a review, a Google review, Facebook review. People mail back testimonials, which is cool. They handwrite testimonials and mail them back in. But we had one come in just over the last week on Google from a recent customer, and I'm just going to read you her review because I couldn't have written it any better myself. I could not be more impressed than I am with this company. I had been looking for a mattress for months, doing an insane amount of research. I happened upon the website for Gardner's Mattress and More and sent a Facebook message. After the warm response, I decided to take the hour-long drive, so not local. In fact, there she is. Hour-long drive to check things out. I was focused on several companies. When I walked in, I was warmly greeted by Chad, who's one of our associates here. Chad, Phil, and Drew are the main associates you'll come in contact with here at Gardner's. Chad listened to exactly what I was looking for. He asked a lot of questions and pointed me to the two companies I had been interested in. So Betsy was interested in two particular brands when she got here. And it was apparent that neither one were going to work for me. So he showed me several choices that were exactly, in all caps, what I was looking for. And I got to go to the next page here. There are so many reasons why Gardner's will be the only place I ever look, and I am telling all my friends, don't fall for smooth-talking salespeople who hover like hawks and pressure you into making a decision that day. Chad and Drew are there to help you find the perfect fit with a smile and a wealth of knowledge. There was absolutely no pressure, and I left confident in the fact that I would call soon to order my new mattress. Thank you. So since she wrote this review, Betsy has placed her order. She wrote that actually before she made her purchase and then called back and ordered after it. So pretty cool that someone left a review just in the shopping experience, not even purchasing a mattress. But then she made her decision, and her mattress is now on order. And we look forward to getting it to our customer Betsy there. So thank you, Betsy, for your order. Thanks for your kind words on Google. And again, the reason we share that, it's just a testimonial about who Gardeners is, what we do. Again, we have a passion for helping our community wake up happy every morning. It's not just a slogan. We believe it with our 120-night comfort guarantee, with the staff and how we treat our customers. We treat everybody how we would expect to be treated. And we've been doing this for 35 years here as Gardeners in the Lancaster community. So if we can help you wake up happy every morning, we'd love to do that as well for you. So again, thank you for watching today's episode of Lancaster Connects. Thank you to our guest, Shawn Gladden, who is the site administrator for Lancaster Valley Village, Landis Valley, my goodness, Landis Valley Village and Farm Museum. Shawn, thank you for being on the show and sharing the mission of Landis Valley Village and Farm Museum and everything they do. Check them out. Got a lot of great events, landisvalleymuseum.org. So we'll be back next Monday at 2:00 with the next episode of Lancaster Connects. Got a lot of great guests coming up here in the spring. And again, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, hit lancasterconnects.com, hit the guest tab, and fill out a simple form. We'd love to share your story. Maybe you're a nonprofit, charitable organization, community benefit organization, small business that gives back to the community. We'd love to share your story, just like we shared the Landis Valley Farm Museum story today. So again, thank you for watching. Hope everybody has a great afternoon, and we'll see you on the next connection.